Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching and for subscribing. And if you're just visiting, please consider subscribing. So today's video is going to be about overrated or overhyped fragrances. Of course, please keep in mind, this is just my subjective opinion. If you love any of the fragrances that I'm going to talk about, that's wonderful. Please don't get offended. This is just my opinion. The things I'm going to talk about are going to be individual fragrances, and some are going to be about houses, fragrance houses. Let's get started. The first one I'm going to talk about is something that I was actually planning to do a separate video about, but once I tried the fragrances, I realized that if I did a video, it will be quite negative, so I decided not to, and instead I'm going to include it in this one. I'm talking about Juliet Has A Gun. I purchased a sample pack where I wanted to test the fragrances to see if I was going to like any of these. I had a feeling that there were some that were going to be right up my alley. So let me show you. So this is how it comes. You have a little booklet that talks about all the fragrances that are included in here. And I'm not going to go, I think there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 different fragrances. The larger one is a repetition of one of the smaller vials. So I'm not going to talk about all of these. I'm just going to mention some of them. So one of them is Juliet Has A Gun, not a perfume. And it truly is not a perfume. It doesn't smell like anything. I think this would be right for people who don't like fragrances or get headaches from fragrances. This will probably be a good choice for them. But when I wear a fragrance, I want to be able to smell it. I want it to last. I want it to project. I want others around me to smell it as well. And this does not hit any of these points. This pretty much smells like nothing. So the name is very fitting. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all of these. Some of them I liked, some of them I didn't like. For example, like the 3 or 4 M's that they have, which is, I don't know, to me is a strange name, but that one didn't smell good at all. But 2 that I was really looking forward to were Vanilla Vibes. Let me see if this is the one. Yep, Vanilla Vibes. And Moscow Mule. So Vanilla Vibes is supposed to be this sort of a salty, vanilla, beachy kind of scent, which I thought I really like those types of scents, and this would be great for the summer. And it really smells very, very pleasant. I really like the smell. Of course, many of the perfumes that I'm going to talk about today, I don't have full bottles. So if I don't have full bottles, I'm going to put a picture up here. So I really like the smell of Vanilla Vibes. And the one that was my number one that I was really interested in was Moscow Mule. So this is named after a cocktail, which I've never tried, but it's supposed to be really refreshing, zingy kind of thing. And it is. The scent is beautiful. I really love the scent, and when I first tried it, I was so excited. I thought for sure I'm going to purchase a full bottle. Here's the problem. Lasting power is 0. I mean, less than 0. I've sampled these. I kind of expected the lasting power not to be great with these types of scents, so I knew it going in, but I was expecting at least, I don't know, a couple of hours, 2-3 hours. So I sprayed each one of these generously, I mean really generously, and I went for a walk with my daughter. And literally 10 minutes later, I could not smell anything, nothing at all. Even if I brought my hand to my nose, there was basically nothing there. And I've tested both of these several times. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but these are almost empty, and it was the same result. So lasting power is 0, less than 0. And why would I spend my money on a fragrance like this? So to me, Juliet Has A Gun is highly, highly overrated. So that's number 1. Number two, I don't have a full bottle. I have this little, I don't know, sprayer bottle. This is Black Orchid by Tom Ford. I know many people love this fragrance, and I've tried to love it for a long time, and I don't. I don't find the scent repulsive or offensive, but to me, this is a very dark, kind of depressing type of scent. It puts me in a bad mood, and I want my fragrance to put me in a good mood, and this one never does. Like I said, it has the opposite effect. So for that reason, I really don't like Black Orchid. I think if you want something kind of on a, I don't know, darker, richer side from Tom Ford, the fragrance that I would suggest is either Noir Pour Femme or Noir Extreme. I have a small spray of Noir Extreme, but I've tried both and they are very, very similar. I want to mention that if you're interested in knowing about these two fragrances, Tara from Olfactophiles, I hope I said it correctly, just recently did a beautiful review of these two fragrances. If you haven't checked out her channel, which I will link in the description, of course, you have to. I've been kind of obsessed with her channel. She only has a few videos, at least at the time of me filming this, I think 3 or so. But you know, she is so knowledgeable and her videos look so professional that it's hard for me to believe that she's just starting out. I really have a feeling that she has done this before because everything looks so professional. So definitely check her out, especially if you're interested in comparison of Noir Pour Femme and Noir Extreme. But this is a beautiful kind of dark, thick vanilla, spicy vanilla. This is a beautiful fragrance, but Black Orchid, in my opinion, is overrated. Next one I'm going to mention is something that I've mentioned before in my channel, and I don't have a bottle anymore. It has found a better home, and that's YSL's Black Opium. And I'm not going to spend too much on this because you know my opinion about it. It's a beautiful, beautiful scent. But again, the issue is lasting power. There is no lasting power. Yes, it's not as bad as Juliet Has A Gun, but still, it does not last long at all, and for that reason, I think it is overrated, even though the scent itself is beautiful and very much mass appealing. But overall, the fragrance is overrated. Next one I'm going to talk about is something else from the house of Tom Ford, and I don't have any samples or anything, but I have sampled that fragrance in the last, I don't remember if it came out last year or the year before, but there has certainly been a lot of hype about it. And in fact, when I used to go to the store trying to sample it, the bottle would always be empty. It's like everybody's trying it out. I'm talking about Lost Cherry. It's a nice cherry scent, sweet cherry, maybe slightly sour. It's nice, but I didn't find anything extraordinary about it, anything special about it. To me, it was pretty average, and to have such hype about that fragrance and for the fragrance to be so expensive, I just couldn't understand why. So in my opinion, it is overhyped. Okay, what do we have next? Next, I'm going to talk about in general about the house of Jo Malone. They have interesting scents. Some I like, some I don't. Obviously, the one I've showed you before is Wood Sage and Sea Salt, which used to be one of my favorites. I've kind of fallen out of love with it lately, but it's a beautiful scent. I have a small bottle of, I think it's called Basil and Neroli, which is not my favorite scent, but that's, you know, that's a personal preference. Again, my problem with this house is that things don't last. And I know that I've heard from many people who have the same issue with this house of fragrances not lasting. So I know it's not just me. And again, if I spend money on the fragrance, I want to be able to smell it. I want it to last. I want others to smell it. And as many Jo Malone fragrances as I've tried, they just don't last. I mean, for them even to last a bit, like I'm talking about, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 hours, I have to layer them. Like with wood sage and sea salt, I have body cream or body butter with the same scent. So I put that on and then I spray the fragrance, generously spray the fragrance. And even with all this layering, it still doesn't last very well. But if I use just the fragrance, it's not gonna last at all. So for that reason, the House of Jo Malone, in my opinion, is overrated. Next one, and this might be slightly controversial because I know many people love it, and I actually have a full bottle, Ariana Grande Cloud. Let's start with the packaging, which I don't have the big white cloud. I took that off because I can't stand looking at it. But even without it, I mean, this little cloud, let's just say I don't like the packaging, but that's not the point. The point is what's inside. And it's a nice, sweet, simple, fruity sweet fragrance. Again, pretty basic, nothing out of the ordinary. I feel like this has gotten so much hype for one reason only, because many consider it a close dupe to Baccarat Rouge 540. If that wasn't the case, I think this would be an average celebrity fragrance and people would not be talking about this one so much. So it's more like all the hype is because this is similar to Baccarat Rouge, not because this is such an amazing fragrance. That's just my opinion. Again, please, if you love it, don't get offended. But yeah, it's nice, but nothing special. Next one, I have a small bottle of that, and it's Prada Candy. I think this was one of the first sort of sweet, caramelly, gourmand, mass appealing fragrances that came out. And that's why people love it so much. And when it first came out, I was a big fan as well, until more fragrances like this started coming out, or maybe I just started trying more gourmand, caramelly type of fragrances, and this one fades in comparison. I have to be honest. It's, again, very, very simple with very poor longevity again. And there are so many similar types of fragrances that are more interesting smelling, that last longer, that project better. So for that reason, Prada Candy, I think, is overrated. I used to have a big bottle, which is gone now, and I have this little bottle just for comparison purposes more than anything else. I don't use it. So Prada Candy, overhyped in my opinion. Next one, I don't have a bottle of this one, but I used to, and that's Lalique Amethyst. There has been a lot of talk about it lately. Many people have compared it to Parfums de Marly Meliora, which I have and absolutely love, one of my top fragrances. And Amethyst from Lalique, I wasn't a huge fan of. Yes, there's black currant in both of these, but would I consider them dupes? Not at all. In Parfums de Marly, the black currant is so beautifully blended with everything else. The fragrance is refined, it is smooth, it is sweet, it is natural smelling. And for me, Amethyst is very chemical and very synthetical, especially the opening is so sharp. There's so much musk. The black currant is very sour. It just didn't smell natural. Like I wanted it to smell like beautiful fruits, and it didn't. It smelled chemical and synthetic on me. And so for that reason, I think it's overhyped. And in my opinion, the comparison to Parfums de Marly is kind of unjustified. To me, there is no comparison. They're very different. And most importantly, the quality of these two fragrances is very different. And the last one I'm gonna mention, and this is a classic, and I have huge respect for it as a classic and as a scent that many women have worn for years and that they love. But for me, it is overhyped, and of course I'm talking about Chanel No. 5. I have tried loving it. Every time I used to go to a Chanel counter, I would sample it and I would think, why don't I like it? So many women wear it, and it's a signature scent for so many women, and I just don't like it. The aldehydes are too strong. It is too powdery. It is just unpleasant to me. And maybe it's the type of fragrance that will grow with time. You know, in my younger days, I kind of had a similar opinion about Coco Mademoiselle. I used to, which I have now, and I do love. I used to go to the counter and try it and think, yeah, this is really not for me. This is kind of for, I don't know, an older generation maybe. I don't know. I just didn't like it. And then with time, as I got older, I really grew to like it and to love it. So I think maybe the same thing will happen with Chanel No. 5, but for now, as many times as I've tried it, I just don't like it. And so for that reason, I'm going to include it in this overhyped list. So that's it. That's my list of overhyped or overrated fragrances. Please let me know. Do you think there are any fragrances that are overhyped and overrated? And what would be your #1 choice of overhyped or overrated fragrance? I'm really curious to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And I will see you soon in my next video. Bye.